But yeah, I did mention, I guess Chris Paul got released, right? Say he doesn't retire. Where do you think he goes? Where do you think his best fit is at?
Man, this is like on the spot. Chris Paul. On the spot, Chris Paul at this phase in his career. I mean, he's
Yeah.
still a good facilitator. I think he's got like, obviously, he's just like loaded with talent. He's just a step slower. I mean, he's not the Chris Paul that he used to be. I mean, I'm looking at teams that are, contending for it all. I mean, could he, if Kyrie Irving was to leave Dallas, could he spot up and, be somebody next to Doncic that just provides that kind of leadership that he needs? Like, I think that'd be
Hmm.
fine. I think maybe Miami, like looking at, are you trusting Gabe Vincent to be your like everyday point guard? Do you want like a Tyler Hero type to play next to Jimmy and be like that
Hmm.
unconventional point guard? Or are you like looking at Kyle Lowry to like have a bounce back or something like that too? So like I struggle
Hmm.
there with Miami, but I think like Pat Riley and Spo would probably love to have a guy with the heart of Chris Paul. I mean, just to like see what he did when he got offloaded from Houston to OKC. Like that was maybe my favorite Chris Paul year of all time. It's just like so cool how he like just went in there and was like, I'm taking this job. And like, I know it's like not, a place that most players would want to be offloaded to. And like, I know it's kind of embarrassing, but like he turned that
Hmm.
like pile of, like into like a very fun, very like, exciting team for its time. And I don't think he would do that for Miami or do all of that for Dallas, but in the same sense, like he's a nice rotation player. He's a nice guy to have on your team.
Yeah, I agree. Um, yeah, I he's in the stage of his career. He can't be necessarily the focal point, right? Um, maybe maybe not even the third best player. Maybe like three, maybe like four or five. I think, in my opinion, on that. So, um, I could see him maybe for the 76ers, like if he's able to just slot in there. I know they got, Maxi there, but I feel like, he can provide some coaching him up, figuring out how to facilitate with Embiid, just make that team overall a little bit better there. Doesn't have to start, I don't think, at least if I was in his shoes, I wouldn't I wouldn't be necessarily looking for that. I think he's hungry for that chip though, right? Still hasn't had that championship, and I think that's just the one thing he'd probably like to cap off his career. So, maybe the Sixers. I know the Heat would love him, but I don't know what they're going to do with Lowry and such. I feel like you can only have two. You can only have so many like old point guards in your bench and stuff. So, um, but
How about
you
the
know,
Lakers?
I thought about that, like him as buddy, right?
Yeah.
LeBron and other buddies, so that could potentially work out too. And I think there's a slot with them, with Schroeder in the back, and I don't know what his contract situation is, but and then also D'Angelo Russell, like why not? I think that would be a great fit there. Um, you know, Other teams in the West, like I don't know if he's able to like go with Jokic at all. That'd be interesting, but yeah, like I feel like a championship contender would make sense. Again, at this stage of his career, has accomplished everything. I really like Chris Paul in terms of everything he's done outside of the court. His game is a little bit, it kind of turns me off. Like he like he very much kind of finesses people like almost too much. But I do got to respect his how he just goes about things, how he's a consummate winner wherever he goes, and is tends to be pretty ultra professional and is like the president, right? I think of the Players Association. So, but yeah, I have mixed feelings about his game overall. But at the end of the day, I would love to see him just win a championship.
What if he played for our Chicago Bulls? How do you think he would? How do you think he would do there? Like in whatever role?
Yeah, I don't know if that'll happen, but it couldn't hurt. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, well, one team that it would be interesting if you join them would be the Clippers. If you rejoin the Clippers, they're already old
Yeah.
as hell, right? But they have all the talent in the world. Goes back there, finishes off what he started with Lob City, just has Kawhi, has Paul George. I know they kind of like to play the big guards over there, but hey, if Chris Paul can come in there, kind of be that, six man bench player point guard, right? Why not, kind of take him like a vet min or whatever. He's made enough money in his career. See if they can win a chip. I think that could be a good fit.
Yeah. I guess the reason I brought up the Bulls is like thinking about Lonzo Ball being done for his career, just to have a guy like Paul, whether he's the starter or the backup with like a Caruso or something like that, that'd be just kind of like a good extra veteran to add to like maybe a hopeful Bulls playoff team or something like that with DeRozan and Levine running it back. But yeah, the only other thing I was thinking about is like how cool it would be if he went over to like New Orleans or Charlotte also to like kind of ride into the sunset with one of those franchises. Like he could play off the ball with LaMelo a little bit and like maybe not be as commanding, or maybe he's just, his backup, or in the same sense, like goes to the Pelicans where, he can either, obviously maybe even be a starter as point guard pushing McCollum to the 2, or again, just falling to the back and being like one of their, off the bench point guard types. But yeah, in general, I think there's a lot of utility in a guy like Chris Paul, and obviously now that they're not like having to pay $40 million a year to get him, I think a lot of teams would be super interested.
Yeah, I like that. The Pelicans, I think that would be kind of full circle. I think I listened to this podcast with the Pivot too. Talked about how New Orleans kind of like is like his town essentially, right? Like I think he got drafted. I believe he got drafted like right around Katrina. So it was like, very sentimental moment for him. I think he also has some family still there. So whenever he goes there, goes to New Orleans, he knows, has family there, hangs out with the family there, knows where all the restaurants are, and knows the people that work at the restaurants, etc. So that would be awesome. And then, yeah, if they can have a healthy Zion, that could be a squad. So that's a big if. But yeah, that would be, I think, awesome to see. If he feels like, maybe a championship isn't in the cards for me, would love to see him get a send off over there with the Pelicans.